The NBA draft can make or break a team. Picking the right players can change a team's legacy or ruin another. That is why we are breaking down 2021's top 10 NBA draft picks. But before we get into that, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. This is our breakdown of the 2021 top NBA draft picks. Number 10, James Bouknight, 6'2", guard, Connecticut. Still another player whose value would soar if he were a more consistent shooter. Bouknight hit just 29.3% of his deep shots as a sophomore, down from 34.7% his first season. He's such an electric player though, capable of getting to wherever he wants on the floor and above it. He converted well more than 50% of his twos. If he's going to operate as a smaller shooting guard, he'll have to improve his touch. If he's going to be a point guard, he'll need to improve his handle. But some guys are just players. Number 9, Keon Johnson, 6'5", shooting guard, Tennessee. There are a lot of similarities between Kaminga and Johnson, coveted because of exceptional dynamics, questioned because of meager deep shooting numbers. The difference is that Kaminga is more explosive, whereas Johnson has elite level ball skill that just hasn't yet translated to long distance shooting. Watch his form on mid-range shots or even on some of the attack on the rim finishes. His elbow is locked tight, the ball is held high, his eye never leaves the target. With these qualities, Johnson likely can grow into a better deep shooter than the fellow who is 13 of 48 at Tennessee. He may not be a great rookie, but by year 3, he could be an exceptional contributor. Number 8, Sharif Cooper, 6'1", point guard, Auburn. You almost certainly will not find Cooper rated this highly on any other draft preview, so maybe I'm nuts. I also had Saddiq Bey rated 14 higher than he eventually was chosen by the Pistons, and he would end up ranked number 5 among rookies in scoring. But Cooper is a dazzling creative force, the sort of playmaker that rarely develops. He has the ability to play at multiple speeds, which is so difficult for opponents to defend. Cooper averaged 8.1 assists in 12 college games after being declared NCAA eligible and before an injury ended his season. He was also good for more than 20 points per game. Every Auburn possession with Cooper in charge was an opportunity to be dazzled. If only he were a legitimate shooter. He was just 13 of 57 from deep. Initially, I said I'd drop Cooper 10 spots if he measured, as I suspected at shorter than 6 foot at the NBA Draft Combine. Then it was published he's measured taller than 6'3". It seemed to be an error, and it since has been removed from the NBA website. So the teams know where he stands, but we don't. Number 7, Jonathan Kaminga, 6'8", small forward, G League, Ignite. Kaminga is at an A+ level, perhaps not quite Andrew Wiggins level, but not far from it. But Wiggins has been viewed as a disappointment to date, even as he averaged 19.5 points over 7 seasons, because his game has had so little variety. Kaminga is unlikely to be the first overall pick, so he won't have to carry that burden. But can he grow into a complete offensive player? Kaminga can get by defenders, but he spent a lot of G League time trying to prove he's a deep shooter, with more than a third of his field goal attempts coming from deep, even though he only hit 24.6%. NBA opponents might just back off and dare him to show he can make the leap to competence. Number 6, Scottie Barnes, 6'9", point guard, Florida State. Seminoles coach Leonard Hamilton has done a wonderful job with the many pro aspects he has recruited to Tallahassee over the past decade. But one wonders what might have been possible for Barnes if Hamilton's approach, spreading the minutes among 9 to 10 players with no one averaging 30+, had been set aside. Barnes only played 24 minutes and averaged only 8 shots per game. The Seminoles might have been his team, but never really were. He's a powerful talent though, with absurd size for a playmaking guard. He is another player who did not show himself to be a proficient deep shooter. I had him lower on this list the first time around. I'm blaming Leonard for that. Just kidding, coach. Number 5, DaVon Mitchell, 6'2", point guard, Baylor. Mitchell's respect level as a prospect progressed nicely as the Bears progressed toward the NCAA championship, but it soared when he flat-wrecked every guard Gonzaga put in front of him in the title game. That included Suggs, who managed to score 22 points on 8 of 15 shooting, while Mitchell denied him the opportunity to have any influence on actually winning the game. Mitchell's on-ball defense has always been respected and admired. He was second-team All-American largely for that reason. But to do it against elite opposition with so much on the line while also scoring 15 points and passing for 5 assists made it clear he was a big-time prospect. Mitchell improved from a 28.8% deep shooter as a freshman at Auburn to 32.4% in his first season after transferring to Baylor, but then made a massive jump last season to 44.7%. He can be a long-term starting point at the NBA level. Number 4, Jalen Suggs, 6'5", point guard, Gonzaga. You want to know why Suggs is a fabulous prospect? Forget about the buzzer-beating shot that put the Zags into the NCAA championship and put in the tape of the final 20 minutes of their West Coast Conference title game against BYU. Suggs put on an astonishing display of shot creation, shot making, and defensive insistence that allowed the Zags to recover from a double-digit halftime deficit and become the fourth team since 1980 to enter the NCAA tournament undefeated. Suggs averaged 4.5 assists, functioning as the primary ball handler in Gonzaga's double point guard lineup. Has considerable room to improve as a deep shooter. Number 3, Jalen Green, 6'6", shooting guard. G League Ignite. Entering the G League bubble for an accelerated 15-game schedule turned out to be a much better proving ground for Green than the hodgepodge of G League and international exhibitions that had been proposed at the Ignite program's introduction. Green got to play legit competition for 32 minutes per game and averaged 17.9 points on 46.1% shooting. He hit 36.5% on threes from the NBA distance, making 2 per game. Green has an A-level NBA dynamic and could become an unstoppable scorer. The team that wins the lottery also will be tempted by Green's promise. Yes, he played in games that didn't matter much, but last year's number 1 overall pick, Anthony Edwards, was on a bad college team, and thus in much the same situation, and the number 2 pick, James Wiseman, barely played any post-high school ball. Number 2, Evan Mobley, 6'11", center, Southern California. It's possible that Mobley could rise to the very top of this draft because he so beautifully fits the ideal of the modern NBA big man. He is exceptionally mobile and should become an elite pick-and-roll defender. He protects the rim to the tune of 2.9 blocks per game in his only college season. He finished strong at the goal and shot 58% on 2-pointers. He attempted only 43 pointers but made 30%, suggesting there is a foundation for him as a jump shooter. Mobley will have to grow stronger to survive along an NBA baseline, but he's got a fine frame for carrying more muscle. He was ultimately drafted in round 1 as the 3rd pick and went to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mobley will be starting in the preseason, so we'll just have to wait and see how he performs. Number 1, Cade Cunningham, 6'8", point guard, Oklahoma State. There was so much to love about what Cunningham put on display as a Cowboys freshman, and it starts with the skill that so many others in this draft have not yet mastered. Cunningham shot 40% from 3 on 62, makes for the Big 12 tournament runners-up. He should have little trouble translating that ability to the NBA level. He is a winner who helped Oklahoma State advance from 18-14 to 21-9, from out of the NCAA tournament to a number 4 seed. He was also a gold medal winner with the U.S. at the 2019 FIBA U19 World Cup. He can play all 3 perimeter positions, though he has always been listed and almost exclusively deployed as a point guard. In that position, Cunningham is an effective passer, but not elite. He does not have Penny Hardaway or Magic Johnson level vision, and he has struggled sometimes with his ball handling. His turnover average of 4.0 per game is disconcerting, only because of so many of those involved him simply losing his grip on the ball. He must improve in that discipline to prove himself worthy of the 1st overall selection. So what do you think? We want to hear how you would select in your top 10 draft picks. Let us know in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, so that way you don't miss out on any new content. This has been our breakdown of 2021's top 10 NBA draft picks.